A murder mystery 40 years old, still with no answers. On September 17, 1980, Dover, Tennessee sisters Carla Atkins and Vicky Stout disappeared.
18 days later, they were found dead at Land Between the Lakes. 4 decades later, we still don't know who killed them. But a podcast and new interest from investigators are bringing new awareness to the case. Local 6's Thomas Capps tells about the new efforts to solve this decades-old murder and how it still affects Dover today.
40 years may have passed, but Carla Atkins and Vicky Stout are still very much on the hearts and minds of the people of the small, quiet town of Dover, Tennessee. The half-sisters, only teenagers at the time, were murdered in September of 1980. But still, after all these years, their killer has not been found.
We were really discouraged to find out no one had really covered the case much.
That's why Amelia Courtney and Lainey Sullivan wanted to bring awareness to the case. Courtney, a West Tennessee native, heard about the case from a childhood friend. And from there, with Sullivan, began a podcast last year called Murder at Land Between the Lakes.
We wanted to get more media attention and, find out what happened to these girls.
They started by researching the basic facts of the case. On the day they disappeared, Atkins and Stout were seen at a restaurant just outside of town.
After the girls were seen at the restaurant, they were seen walking down Highway 79. They stopped to talk to a man in a blue truck, and that was the last time anyone saw them alive. 18
days later, they were found dead in the woods at Land Between the Lakes with gunshot wounds to the head.
And I know the one that was assigned.
After a few episodes of the podcast, people from Dover contacted Courtney and Sullivan about the case.
We started receiving emails, we opened up a phone line, and people started calling us. What we realized is that, from that small town in Dover, Tennessee, no one had wanted to speak up all those years. And, it'd been very quiet. And that's, again, goes back to why there was really no information on this case.
The podcast isn't the only thing bringing light to the murders. In recent years, District Attorney General Ray Crouch has put new efforts into solving the case. And just this week, it was announced evidence that was collected back in 1980 was being sent to a private lab for DNA testing. Due to the age of the evidence and the way it was stored, it's unclear if the test will be successful.
They remember it with a vengeance now. People want this case solved.
Stewart County Mayor Robin Brandon's wife is the first cousin of Stout and Atkins. He says the family's glad to see movement and awareness brought to the case after 40 years of stagnation. But there is concern that 40 years is just too long.
For about 10 years now, people have been saying that they're worried that it's gone on too long and we may never have answers. People are dying that are connected to the case, and it's going to die with them.
But still, the new DNA test and podcast are giving this small Tennessee river town hope.
Hopefully now that we have the new technology to really test DNA, it's going to give us the answers that we've been looking for so long.
Finding answers and closure for these girls who had their lives taken from them at such a young age. Thomas Capps, WPSD, Local 6.